Okay, I'm going to try to go for a comprehensive review of motors for the Vendetta. These two are the stock motors, the VR3 and the red one. They both do good in the Vendetta for a brushed motor. If it's your first RC car or you just bought the car, I'd recommend using them and not immediately swapping them out, you know. Run it, see how you like it, and when it gets boring, swap it out. But if you plan on using them, I definitely recommend taking these stock wires and upgrading to a bigger wire. Or at least taking the stock plug off of these and changing that out to something better. Because the stock plug doesn't work at all. Next up, this is the armature magnet out of a little 20mm can and really short and stubby little motor, but it was 5400 kV, and it really was, because that thing used to wind out. And I mean, that thing, it was fun while it lasted, but there's the problem, is that it didn't last because it would always get way too hot in a Vendetta because it wasn't big enough. And you can see, you know, how small the armature is compared to this thing and this armature. No, this isn't a Mamba motor. This is a Venum 4700 kV motor. But that's also got the 20mm can. And it's fast, but it gets overly hot. This is an armature out of it. And in my opinion, it just gets way too hot in a Vendetta, so I don't like it. Next up, we've got an Align 3550 kV. Now this is an outrunner, not an inrunner, so it's got pretty nice torque, but it doesn't have the extreme RPMs of inrunners. So it's not balls to the wall fast in a Vendetta, but it does pretty nice. And it was my first brushless. I don't regret it at all. And I still even run it in a Vendetta sometimes. And a nice thing about this motor is I do believe that you can still find it and buy it. Whereas I don't even know if you can still buy these or some of the other motors I'll talk about. Now this thing, you'll probably notice, is way too big to put in a Vendetta. Well, actually it's not. If you go and custom make a motor mount and put a huge 24 tooth pinion, which is basically the only pinion you could use on this, it will fit. It's a Turnagee 3630 5300 kV. And this thing screams in a Vendetta. And you could even run this off of 4 cells. Same thing with that. So this I would definitely only recommend if you're going for sheer speed, and probably 4 cells, because on 2 cells you can get stuff that's better than this. But once again, you're going to be limited to a 24 tooth pinion and you have to custom make a motor mount. So this is not my favorite. Now this is the new limited edition Castle CM26 motors. It's the 9200, and I got the Mamba Micro Pro, and this thing is ballistic. This is the fastest RC car I've ever had with this motor in it. But I've got a 16 tooth pinion and stock size tires, and it just gets hot, like overly hot, like so hot it burns to touch it. And I'm really not sure why it gets that hot, but I don't like it. Maybe I have to gear it down some, but I don't want to, and I don't think I should have to. So, I mean, it's real fast, but I just don't like how hot it gets. Now this is the Golden Horizons GH 4700 kV motor. And they claim that it's a 28mm can, but if you can see, it's got fins on it, like a heatsink, which that's nice, but if you were to grind those off, you're going to lose 8mm off the can, and really it's just a 20mm can. But this motor delivers awesome torque, awesome power, and 4700 kV. It makes a Vendetta fly. And this is probably my favorite Vendetta motor that I've used. Well, maybe that one's better. But that's a really nice motor for a Vendetta, and in fact I've got two of them. Now, some other motor choices are you can go on Hobby King, and there's probably a bunch of motors off Hobby King. But one that I specifically noticed was a 28mm, which that's the same size as the stock ones, 28mm. It was 47mm long, so you might run into trouble if you've got the full-size servo in there. But it's 4900 kV, and I think with that can size and the length on it, you're gonna have awesome torque, and it's gonna be extremely ballsy. And it's only 20 bucks. I haven't tried it yet, but that's kind of on my list to try. Then I know Aeon makes a couple motors. I think a 4900 and maybe a 6800 kV. And those are slightly smaller can size. I think they're 24mm. And I haven't personally tried them, but I read somewhere that those are supposed to do nice. Great Plains Ammo makes a 3900 and a 5100. And me, I'm a big KV guy. I'd go with the 5100. But those are 28mm, and those will drop right into a Vendetta, or they should. And I think that those would be a wise choice, except they're like 60 bucks. Any new NEU motors. I'm not a fan of those because they're 100 bucks. And then Permax makes a motor, and that's a really nice motor. It's got great power, but they took it off the market and you can't buy them anymore. But if you find one of those anywhere, I'd recommend buying it, because that's supposed to be a great motor for a Vendetta, and I've seen it. It's actually pretty comparable to this Golden Horizons motor, but it's probably a little better. And I think it's made by Multiplex Permax. So that's my review, and if you have any questions, feel free to comment and I'll get back to you.